What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Grand Creators. This set does release in 2 weeks at the time I'm recording this, and a bunch of content creators got their boxes today to open on YouTube in Konami-sponsored videos to show off the set, give us a look at the rarities, some of the collector rares, and that's pretty much become the norm over the past couple of years, which has definitely been an upgrade from the way we used to get information. Now, Grand Creators does have some pretty cool stuff in it in terms of archetypes. There's the Exorcisters, which is definitely going to be a fan favorite and has some potential depending on future support. We've got the Punk archetype, which seems to be okay on the surface. It's psychic reliant. I think the more copies of E-Telly they have access to, the better the deck might be, but I don't think it's going to be anything more than Rogue, and even that feels a bit generous at this time. And then we, of course, have the Brave token / Adventure token engine. I think that is really kind of capturing headlines and what has people hyped the most. People are playing that as an engine in decks like Phantom Knights and others. And of course, in the TCG side of things with Grand Creators, we do have Inzektor support. We've got a bunch of Inzektor reprints and the world premiere Inzektor card that Konami revealed yesterday. So it's got a nice mix of things you can pull. It's just that with these sets, typically, one of the biggest letdowns has been ratios with packs. Buying a booster box will net you about 3 ultra rares if you meet the average ratios, and 3 ultra rares out of these packs means that unless you pull a collector rare, the rest of what you're going to have is going to be akin to bulk. I mean, unless it's a deck you're looking to build, these cards aren't really holding value all that much. We saw it with Ancient Guardians, we saw it with Genesis Impact. The other cards that are not like Chase Ultras or collector rares are just tanking because of this set structure and the way the ratios are laid out. So if that's something that you don't care about, then crack some packs open, test your luck, I guess. But I do think this set is going to lean towards being much more buy the singles, which people will tell you is the way to go always. I would argue that sometimes buying packs isn't a terrible thing. It depends on your preference, your bankroll, and all of that. But unless something shocks me here and these cards surge in value, I do think this set is going to end up following a similar path to Genesis Impact. But it does have a few cards in it that are going to be in demand, could break through that, price ceiling that we've seen a lot of cards hit. I think in Genesis Impact, Drytron Nova hit like 40 at one point, and that was as high as it got. A couple of years out, Genesis Impact has gotten a bit better, especially with the Evil Twins and Live Twins, but it took a while to get there. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this today. I'm not super optimistic about Grand Creators as a whole, but it does look like it might be the best of the OCG style of these sets, I suppose, compared to Ancient Guardians and Genesis Impact. Fingers crossed that it does end up, following that path and being a decent set, but we will see exactly how that goes. So let's jump into the meat and potatoes of the video. We've got the full spoiler list for all of the rarities except collector rares. There are some collector rares that have been revealed, and they are indicated here. These graphics, thanks to Dual Daddy. Check them out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Really helpful compilation of the graphics here. Makes it easy to sort of go through and see what we're looking for. So we've got a couple of Punk Ultras. There's 3 total. It looks like 2 monsters, the Light and the Dark, as well as the Synchro Wind, are all ultra rare. I haven't read Punk in a while, so I'm not fully up to date on the archetype, but I do know there are people that are excited about it. It's a very psychic reliant archetype, and they're themed around working with one another. I don't know how well the deck functions as an engine. I think it's more so designed to be played as a full package deal. So I will leave that to people who are more well versed on Punk to comment on whether or not the right cards got those rarity bumps. But I have taken a look at the Synchro. I do think the Synchro himself is pretty good. And that's Punk Amazing Dragon. If this card is Synchro Summoned, you can target cards your opponent controls up to the number of level 3 Psychic monsters with different names you control, and in your graveyard, return them to the hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. And then you can target one Punk monster in your graveyard, except this card, special summon it. You can only use this effect once per turn as well. So, really neat. It is somewhat generic-ish in terms of its interaction with other Psychics. It's a Sea Serpent, so it has some unique typing there. Definitely a good card. I think we talked about it very briefly in the past. So not surprised to see that get bumped up to Ultra. As far as we can tell, it doesn't have a collector rare. It looks like right now only the Light Punk monster has a collector rare, but this is a cool card. I think people are going to be happy about this. So I'll sort of refrain from making any additional judgment beyond that with this section of the set so far. Are you guys happy with Punk? Are you, Punk players or people who are into the deck? Do you think these ratios are good? Do you think anything's going to be hard to get? Let me know in the comments below. Certainly interact with others as well. Now, Exorcister is also a popular archetype for reasons. Fans are definitely excited about it, and they do seem to have some potential on the surface, but they are very reliant on your opponent making moves to be maximized, and that, I think, is going to be a significant hindrance for them. That being said, though, it doesn't mean it's all bad. Exorcister Mikolas, which we've talked about in detail before, is a really cool card, and it does have, you know, some serious utility if there's ways for the deck to be able to trigger the effects without having to be as opponent reliant. This one is an ultra rare, as well as Exorcister Sophia and Exorcister Pax, which is one of their spell cards. So 3 ultras there. Seems to follow the trend for the new archetypes, to be honest, for the most part, with how they're, you know, breaking out these ultras. And a collector rare for the spell. No idea if any of the other ones are going to get a collector rare. It would not shock me if that happened, but I suppose we'll see. And I'll touch on it in another video if we do get any noteworthy reveals on the collector rare front for the Exorcisters. Now, the Brave token, Adventure token package is really what has people most excited, and Rite of Aramesia is a really, really strong card that is pretty generic overall, so it's nice to see this getting the Ultra / Collector Rare print. This might actually help in terms of adding some additional value to the set, giving people a few other things to chase down, but it could have that adverse effect and sort of be really expensive. I could be wrong. I was wrong about access code and maximum gold for a while, but I do think it's interesting to look at the set, see what people are really chasing after, and see whether or not that value could break the trend. It's just that these sets have historically been lackluster after, you know, a week, so far, unless this one does end up being different. And there are a few reasons I think it could, which we'll touch on briefly in a moment. But we've got 3 ultras here for the Adventure tokens. I think overall, fine choices. I'm interested to see whether or not any of the supers hold value, because they are played, some of them, as part of the engine, but that'll probably be, there's going to be a bunch of this cracked open regardless. Vendors are going to be opening it up to be able to meet demand for sales. I do think more than likely it's not going to be anything crazy. You probably see Rite of Aramesia as well as the water monster that's also an ultra hit around, I don't know, $25-30 on pre-release, and then we'll see where they go from there. A couple of other noteworthy reprints, of course, for Inzektors. Inzektor Hornet finally getting a reprint after not having one at all, while its brethren in Dragonfly and Centipede have seen a few. Hornet is going to be a collector rare and a regular rare. It does look awesome as a collector rare if you saw some of the pictures and leaks that came out as a result. Dragonfly is a super, so he finally gets a foil bump, and he's a collector rare, so you have your choice there. Super should be really cheap because you're guaranteed a super in every pack, but that should definitely appeal to players who want to bump their Dragonflies up but don't want to spend the money that a collector rare will likely command. And Zexstrike Koau, which is the Create a Card winner that we talked about a while back. They finally revealed the full effect, and we're going to take a look at it in just a second. But that's going to be an Ultra and a Collector Rare, and could have some sneaky value. Being a new card, being an exclusive, I'm just not sure where that's going to end up and whether or not Inzektors are going to be able to really hit that next level and kind of generate buzz for the archetype beyond the people who are just looking forward to being able to pick up and play a deck that they've liked. However, that's not a fault on Zexstrike Koau itself. It is a really good card that does a lot for the deck. It's a normal spell. It's always treated as an Inzektor card. You can send one other Inzektor card from your hand or field to the grave, then activate one of these effects. Choose an Inzektor monster from your deck and either special summon it or equip it to an Inzektor monster you control. Or equip one Inzektor equip spell from your deck to one Inzektor monster you control. So this gives you a lot of utility. You can really set yourself up however you need to. You can get access to the equip spell, which would then allow you to combo with Centipede, get some extra searches. You can get a straight up special and pull Dragonfly directly from the deck. You can equip Hornet to something. This really is a Swiss Army knife, do-it-all kind of card for the deck, and I do think it's really, really welcomed. I'm glad they didn't let us down with that after the hype of the Create a Card project. People are going to be disappointed because their cards that they wanted to see didn't get the prints, but I think overall this is a really solid move from Konami, and the card itself is good. So we'll see whether or not Inzektors can benefit enough with just this, or maybe they'll be hybrid in some way with some of the B-Trooper cards and other insect support that we've seen come to the forefront in the past couple of sets. And finally, moving on to the sort of generic reprints, Rise Bell the Adjuster is in there. I'm really not sure why, maybe just because it's a Psychic. It looks like Virtual World Leanne got a reprint as well. Another one I'm not too sure on. I'm fairly certain that was just a secret in the Megatins, so what the logic behind slotting it in there was, I could not tell you. Castell seems random, but I guess Wind Synergy? I don't know. I don't know what's up with Castell. My theory is that he might end up being a collector rare, which would be really cool for past formats. Like I said, we don't have all of the collector rares announced yet, so it's definitely a possibility. Inzektor, Pico, Felina finally getting a super rare upgrade, which is awesome. I always thought they'd be in like an OTS, but this is fine too. It'll definitely be cheaper. Emergency Teleport as a rare is great. It should hopefully drive the value of that card down to a point where it's affordable for everyone now. I would say, though, definitely hold on to those if you pull them. I do think in the future it could go back up. Insect Imitation is definitely another card that hasn't been reprinted in a while, so it's good to see that get a reprint here. It's had its ups and downs in terms of hype with B-Trooper and the new insect support, but I do think overall it's a really good card, so I'm glad it's more accessible. Inzektor Blades Excalibur, definitely another card that was starting to get some value. It wasn't crazy, but it could have easily surged if it started to take off. Torrential Tribute as a collector rare is beautiful. The pictures have been circulating. It looks absolutely amazing. It's a really, really nice collector rare that will, I think, appeal to everyone because the card still sees play nowadays, but it's going to be big for legacy formats as well. And unless they print an ulti, it will be the highest rarity. Xyz Universe, I do not know what the purpose of putting this in here was, especially not as a super, but maybe there's something I'm missing. Solemn Strike as a rare and a collector rare is massive. As a collector rare, it's going to be a huge backing factor for the set. It's definitely going to be high demand. I don't think it would surpass the ulti, but I do think it would have a really solid value to it and do a lot to help the set long term. And Armory Call is just getting another reprint after just being in Maximum Gold and also being in Megaton, so I don't really know what's up with that, but I guess it's no harm, no foul. It's filler, and we know that it's filler, so that's pretty much fine. Overall, this is the set. It looks really good. I think E-Telly has a really good chance to be a collector rare. That is just speculation based on sort of looking at the way these sets have been constructed in the past. And if it is a collector rare, it would be a massive, massive boost for the set. But again, it's still not really going to be worth cracking these open en masse to pull stuff like that. There's a lot of collector rares in the set. They're hard to pull as it is, and the set doesn't exactly have a ton going for it from a value perspective. But if you're a player, there's definitely a lot to be excited about here. I will be opening some up on the channel, but I do expect that I'll keep it relatively limited. Whether or not I choose to buy a box is going to depend on what the prices of boxes are going for and how the set as a whole kind of shakes out as we move forward. So I'll talk about it a little bit more as that time comes. But I think Grand Creators has a lot of potential to break the mold of those previous sets. I just would keep your expectations low. I don't think it's going to shatter any bars. I do think it's going to end up being better than Ancient Guardians and maybe on par with Genesis Impact, but over time, depending on those collector rares and the Inzektor cards, it really does, have the potential to become the best so far, which, yes, is kind of like being the shiniest turd in the punch bowl, but it's, here nor there. I don't know if that was the right expression. I'm not sure. I'm tired. I've been going through videos all morning trying to get all this information. But hopefully you guys did enjoy. Please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos. Let me know what you think of Grand Creators. Are you going to be buying some? Have you pre-ordered some already? If you did, do you feel good about it? The usual. And yeah, I'll catch you guys with another video. We've got a lot of new content coming up pretty soon. I already mentioned the Time Wizard Chronicles series, which is coming out very soon, promise. And I've got some stuff from the new, I think it's called Tactical Strategies or Tactical Masters in OCG. We got some leaks yesterday, including a really cool Pendulum archetype. So plenty of new content on the way. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.